Hello, world. It's John Pinto, your roving realtor, bon vivant, video blogger, podcaster, and I am here with Erin Syren, all things home, roof, termite, and now pool inspections. I'm so happy to hear that, Eric.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of need and want for that, so we decided to include that as part of our property inspection.
Very good. And it's important to acknowledge that Rafael Betances is on the video. So that way, if any of you want to order any of those roof termite home or pool inspections, you know who to contact. Rafael will be your huckleberry, as
Hey
in
everybody.
Tombstone. Did you see the movie Tombstone?
I did. I did.
Val Kilmer playing
Oh yeah.
Doc Holliday. I'll be your huckleberry. I'll be your huckleberry. So let me wax poetic on the one of the travails we run into as realtors. We're all happy and excited and optimistic that we're ordering roof termite and home inspection through Homeguard. And in past iterations, not current iterations, we get back the report and it says, oh, you might want to have somebody take a look at that pool and spa. Too bad we can't do it. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, that's another phone call I need to make.
Yeah.
But now you do it. So, Eric, when did that happen? Why did it happen? What epiphanies did HomeGuard have to jump into that marketplace?
Well, John, as you know, HomeGuard is the home base is here in California, and I believe it's about 65% of homes that are purchased have some type of either a swimming pool or a spa. And basically, from customer feedback, we listen to these people, our clients and customers that say, I wish you guys would do pool inspection. So we decided to go ahead and start doing a separate pool inspection along with your home inspection.
Oh, and when did that happen?
We've been doing that for about I'd say about a year and a half now. hmm
Okay, good. And did you say 65% of the houses inspected have a pool and or a spa? Did I
Well,
hear you
depending
correctly?
depending on where you are, our home base is in San Jose, so we're in a very warm part of the Bay Area here. Maybe up in Napa, there's not that many pools, but maybe a lot of hot tubs up there.
Okay, so let's jump into the pool.
There we
Uh,
go.
so so here goes. I'll start querying you on some of the things that I'm concerned about or that I find. I'll start at the top one and go from there. I find it's not unusual that the heater is shot.
Yeah.
Uh, could you comment on that?
Everything about the pool is basically outside and exposed to the elements. There are no requirements when you get a pool to put your equipment under some sort of a covering. So it's out there in the elements. It's getting rained on, it's getting sun, ultraviolet light. And the other thing is the heater. A lot of people realize that where we are, you don't really need the heater that much. So the heater just sits there most of the time not being used, which is actually a bad thing. It's like having a car and not driving it. You want to make sure you start it up periodically and make sure that's all functioning properly.
Okay, let me dive into the pool again
Mhm.
and opine that if you have a quote unquote black bottom pool,
Mm.
that might even preclude the necessity to have a heater. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It can actually heat that water about 10 degrees on a nice hot day and bring up that pool temperature to somewhere where you'd be nice and comfortable that night jumping in the pool of 8 p.m. if you wanted to.
Okay, as a tertiary measure, I also find that one of those pool covers on a big spool works. Can you talk
Yeah.
about the effectiveness and the problems that that might create?
Yeah, pool covers are actually one of the most problematic things. They can be a safety hazard if they're not rated for someone to be up on that pool cover. So you want to be aware of that. And again, that's a piece of equipment that's outside, exposed to the elements, exposed to the rain. So that's something that you want to check periodically as far as the functionality goes. I would say if you don't have a cover and you have a heated pool, we're going to make a comment about that, because basically you heat that pool up and then your heat at night is escaping out of your pool. So you have to continuously keep running that heater. Save a lot of energy if you have the right pool cover on top of your pool when you're heating it.
Okay. And I'm not basing this on any informed opinion, but every now and then you see solar panels that are heating the pool.
Mhm.
And, to me, unless it's doing more than heating the pool, solar panels may be a little bit of an overkill to get dedicated solar panels to heat the pool. Am I close to being accurate on that, or do you disagree?
No, no, I don't disagree. Honestly, the reason you have a pool is it's hot outside and you want to jump in there and cool off. You don't want to jump into 80-degree water in the middle of the day. It's not going to be very comfortable. Those solar panels are, yeah, what you say, overkill. The other thing is usually mounted up on the roof, so there could be issues with how it was mounted. It could cause leakage. And again, they're sitting out there in the sun and the rain, and eventually they will start to leak. So now it's created a situation where you either have to repair it or get rid of those solar panels. So a heater is a much more convenient way to heat your pool up to a comfortable temperature.
Okay, it sounds like you might be predisposed to advocate for having a black bottom pool with some kind of a safety rated cover that
Yeah.
if a kid or an adult decide to stand on the cover, they're not going to wind up in the pool with no escape. Would that be an accurate opinion?
Yeah, absolutely, John.
Okay. So then you go to the diatomaceous earth filter.
Mhm.
I normally find that those don't have a lot of moving parts, and usually it's not an issue. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, we've actually been using that diatomaceous earth since back in the late 70s, and it's a much finer filtration than sand can offer. Works
Hmm.
very well. No moving parts, as you say. You periodically you backwash that thing and clean it out and fire the pool back up again, and you're in good shape.
Okay. The next item that appears to come up is the coping and
Hmm.
the decking starting to fall apart. Uh, so, what are your findings on that? What are your words of wisdom to our viewers on that issue?
Well, especially if you've never had a pool, most people don't realize that having a swimming pool in the backyard is almost like putting a ship in your backyard. The water stays in the pool, but it also stays out of the pool. So if you have leaks around the coping and it's raining, or even from people swimming, you have water coming down around the outside of the pool, it can actually start to create some buoyancy and lift the pool up, or if it doesn't lift it up equally, can cause cracking and damage. So a simple thing like keeping your coping, everything sealed up, making that joint between the coping and the concrete nice and sealed, will prevent thousands of dollars of damage potentially down the road.
Okay, and then of course the dreaded slow leak in the pool.
Oh.
That's always a scary one because I don't even know how the heck you find it.
Yeah, and that's something that most people, even a pool company, wouldn't be able to detect and pinpoint. There are actually companies out there that will look for underground leaks. But the only indication would be obviously that pool water level is continuously dropping. Now, you might not realize that if you have an auto fill, because a lot of in-ground pools will now have an auto fill. So as soon as that level goes down, water starts filling back up in that pool. You might not realize it for quite a while.
Okay, and then of course you have the gunite that is at least cosmetically not attractive anymore and needs to be replastered. How often does that come up?
You'd be surprised that gunite is actually very fragile, considering what kind of pH, how your chemicals are set in the swimming pool. So if you don't have everything balanced properly, you're basically eating away at that surface. You're creating little micro abrasion to that surface. And over time, that's why your gunite ends up looking so bad, as you've actually remove part of that protective surface, and you're allowing now stains to get in underneath your gunite.
Okay. And one thing I'm amazed at is it doesn't come up very often. It comes up occasionally. Having electrical in the form of a light in the pool
Mhm.
usually is not an issue, but every now and then it comes up as an issue, more for the light being out than for danger from the electrical. But could you tell us what people need to be aware of in terms of the electrical and the lighting installed inside the gunite?
Right. There are lots of code requirements for us to allow a pool to have a submerged light. You have to have a sealed enclosure so that light is never touching the water. The electrical components are sealed, and obviously none of those can touch the water. The one thing you can look for is if you see your light and it looks as if there's a stain or a water line on the lens of that light, that's an indication you're getting leakage inside there. Do not go in the pool. Call somebody out to take care of that situation.
Okay, I'll take a flying leap now over to the spas, which have their own little unique problems. I would say go directly to the scariest issue in that the spa is usually connected to 220 volts. So having water connected to 220 volts sounds like an ominous situation. What can you tell us about that?
Right. Again, these things are designed, depending on if you have an above ground or underground spa, they're designed to carry water and have electricity, which doesn't sound like a good idea, obviously.
Hmm.
But there are plenty of codes that will make sure that that thing is set up correctly before any humans occupy that space. And the most important component you have is a ground fault circuit interrupter, which can detect like 10,000th of an amp. And if they detect any issues, the power is going to get shut off instantaneously, protecting those people that might be using the spa.
The next thing I find with the spa is many times they're pretty much abandoned. They haven't been
Mhm,
used very often. They may have a cover on there. The cover is beat to heck.
mhm.
And the spa has basically turned into a big piece of debris.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I mean, the remedy to me is to get a crane and just get it out of there. But I'm just wondering how prevalent you find that problem is.
Um, I do see it periodically. We saw it a lot more, obviously, back in the 2007-ish era, where there were a lot of vacant homes and abandoned homes and things
Yeah.
like that, and pools and spas were just left to their own desires, and obviously they started to deteriorate. If you leave water long enough, it's going to turn into something nasty that you're not want to be into. Sometimes you can actually empty them out. You can clean them out. There are products designed for that. Circulate water back through there. You might be able to save that thing, but if it's too far gone and damaged, it's probably not cost effective to try and fix it. It's best to just get rid of it. It can be
Okay.
a safety hazard, even if it's an empty spa. Some child could fall inside there and get hurt. So, best to get that off the property.
Okay. And last but not least, in the pool and spa area, are the protective gates, the concept of attractive nuisance,
Hmm.
whether the pool is an attractive nuisance to
Right.
kids in the neighborhood that could get access to it from the side yard, or it's a real attractive nuisance from the standpoint of not being gated and having toddlers and very young children running around the house. Can you impart to us what the standard of practice is by way of code and by way of prudence by the homeowners in terms of securing the pool?
Absolutely. 2 years ago, on January 1st, Senate Bill 442 was passed, which basically upped the ante for having a pool or a hot tub. Used to be where you only needed to have one safety device, and that was typically a fence around the pool. Now you have to have at least two safety devices. And as part of our inspection, we will be looking for that, and we will point that out to the prospective home buyer, which is required by law. Some of those things would be a fence that separates the pool from the house, the fence that is simply circling the pool, those little fences that you put into the holes around the outside of the pool, a certified safety cover that could protect someone from falling into that pool. You basically could fall on the cover and not get wet. You can have alarms on the pool itself. As soon as there's a splash in the water, an alarm will go off. You can have alarms on all the windows or doors that have direct access to the pool area, which will alarm as soon as the door is open. And then lastly, you can have any other type of device that maybe hasn't been invented yet, but it's at least up to those standards. And self-closing doors. Now, they actually have a device that goes on a sliding glass door that will make that door a self-closing door. So you need to have 2 safety devices, as I said. We will point that out to you in the inspection to let you know whether or not you're compliant.
Rafael, and you thought we were just going to talk about pools. These rabbit holes get deep. They get very deep. Now, I will ask you one more question, Eric. I find with home buyers, they are very binary. They either want a house with a pool, or they definitely do not want a house with a pool.
Right.
And let's say a home buyer sees a house and it's got everything that they want: location, square footage, lot size, everything is perfect, school district, but there's a pool.
Right.
Now, this is not exactly in your wheelhouse, but at least you'll be able to comment on it. How practical is it for them to consider buying the house with the pool and then just putting some engineered fill in the pool and landscaping over it? Is that a viable option?
It is, and I've seen that done many times. And now you have a lawn with a nice, border around that. The other thing you could actually consider in an in-ground pool is building a deck, nice, heavy, structured deck over that pool, basically preventing anyone from getting access to the pool, and then creating another decorative element in the backyard.
Oh, okay. That's good news. And I'm going to veer off into left field here. Another bane of the realtor existence is when they list a house that has a jetted tub.
Mhm.
And the jetted tub has not been used by the current owner or the prior owner or the owner prior to that. So we have a dilemma in
Right.
that we can't really make a proper disclosure because nobody has even gone near it. Um, and of course, there's many things that could go wrong. Many times it's on the second floor, and
Yeah.
whenever you have plumbing on the second floor, that adds a whole new set of complications and problems. Usually, the home inspectors say, "We we don't know nothing about checking spas and jetted tubs."
Yeah.
The fact that you're doing pool inspections now, does that offer any relief to realtors that are selling houses with jetted tubs?
Well, as far as our inspections go, I mean, we inspect to ASHI standards. So we will fill up that jetted tub, obviously staying right there with it, and we will see if it functions or not. If there's a drain that works, we will try to fill that thing up. We'll see if it comes on once water's above the level of the jets. And there should be an access so that we can see underneath. We can get to the motor, make sure there's a GFCI underneath there, and then see if anything's leaking. If we don't see that access point, we're probably not going to fill that thing up, especially like you say, the jetted tub seems like a great idea until you realize that you go to work, you come home, you're tired, you don't really have time to get in that jetted tub, unfortunately, and enjoy that. And it goes
Mhm.
unused for many, many years. Yeah, and can start leaking and cause a lot of damage if you do decide to fill it up one day.
Yeah. Who would have thunk we could have talked so long on this issue?
Right.
But it is complicated.
It is. Yep.
Yeah. So I think we covered it all, Eric, right? We haven't left anything out, have we?
I don't think we have. I think we're good, John.
Oh, okay. You can see I'm a deeply scarred individual and realtor where I've run into everything at least once.
I personally filled up a jetted tub upstairs, and I'm going to tell the story because I would rather be the person that fills it up versus the buyer filling it up one day and calling me saying, "What happened?"
Hmm.
Um, Owners were there. They didn't say anything about it. I filled it up, and the real estate agent started screaming and saying, "It's raining in the dining room." Um,
Hmm.
and luckily, like I said, you don't walk away from that when you're filling that up. You're putting many tens of gallons in that guy. Right as it got to the jet level, one of the jets was broken, water leaked underneath and came right through the ceiling. Luckily, we, turned the water off just as it got to that level, but that's a potential problem that I don't want my buyer to find out about. I'd rather be the guy that finds out that there's a problem with that tub. So, true
Well,
story.
thank you. That was a very worthy subject for that video, and
Yeah.
I appreciate the breadth and depth of your knowledge on that subject, Eric. That was all very helpful. And Rafael, for people that want to partake of Eric's knowledge, how do they contact you to order the roof, the termite, the home inspection, and the pool inspection?
Absolutely. Homeguard is your one-stop shop, and I'm happy to have a conversation. You guys can either call me or text me at 707-616-8762. And when I say your one-stop shop, I really mean that. In just one phone call, you could actually order all 5 services. That includes roof, home, and termite inspections, as well as natural hazard disclosures and home warranties. So give me a call.
True that, as they say in New Orleans. Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.